Okay, welcome to Chinook Sedge School Division Teaching Tech Tips for November 3rd, 2015. My name is Alan Whitehead with Learning Services, and tonight I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through some tools and applications for math in Google. A couple for adding functions, expressions, and graphs into Google Docs and Sheets and Forms, and a couple other tools quickly. And I'll try to, as usual, keep it short and sweet. So the first thing I want to talk about is an add-on for Google Docs and Google Sheets called Gmath. So I'm working in my Google Drive right now, and I've created a Google Doc. You can see this Gmath example one. I've got it open here. And if I wanted to insert different kind of mathematical expressions or functions or graphs into here, there is the insert equation function that's built into Google Docs. But a nice kind of easy way to do it is also an add-on called Gmath. So that shows up for me because I've loaded it. If you've never loaded it before, you just go to add-ons and down to get add-ons. And when that pops up, you just search for, you could just search for math, and it'll show you a whole bunch of math examples. Gmath right here is the one that we're going to be working with today. Then you would just add it and allow it to work with your Google account. So back in the doc, go to add-ons, click on Gmath, and now I've got a few different things I can input. Each of them works the same way. So if I click on expressions, it pops up a little bar along the right-hand side here, and I can either input my own using the LaTeX feature. You can actually do speech to math. So I could say, let's allow 3/4, and it writes it in there. So now I've got a fraction. Or if I go down, there's some pre-built formats already in here. So I want to input that. I'm just going to get rid of the 3/4. I can just select them, different things that are in there. All sorts of funky things. It gives you a preview, which you can then insert into the document wherever your cursor is. You can also enter them yourself if you like. A preview, you can insert it. So a couple ways that you can add in some expressions. The speech to math, which is new with the mic. You can write in your own, and if you use LaTeX, and you can just select your own. They've got a whole bunch to select from. You can kind of build your own that way. You can put in all sorts of Greek things and that sort of thing. So that's fun. Another one then, if we go back to the add-on, Gmath, we can put in a graph. Okay, gives us an example there, but you could put your own in. Inequalities. You can ask for a preview. Which didn't come up right there. Let's try that again. There we go. And we can insert that. I'm just going to move my cursor down. Click Insert in Doc, and it will put that in there as well. So a way to insert graphs. And in addition, you can do statistical displays. I won't go into that. I don't know if that's something as useful. The handwriting is a new feature, which is kind of interesting. Perhaps used with an interactive whiteboard. You can draw on it. I'm just using my touchpad right now. But you could use that to insert into a doc. So if you had some kind of collaborative features, it might be useful for that. So that's it in a doc. Some other places you can use it is in a Google form. So if I go back in my Drive and create a new Google form, if I wanted to create a quiz or a quick formative check to see where students are at, so what I can do is again go to add-ons, and you'd have to get the Gmath add-on for forms. It's different than the add-on for docs, but then same sort of similar things here. Create a math expression. Sure, it's giving me an example there. Let's just insert that. Okay, so what it does then is it adds that as an item, solve for, puts that in kind of as an image. You can change it if you need to. And then it puts in another question below, answer for above. And you can make it a text. It defaults to text, but you could make it a multiple choice if you wanted as well and put in different options. Okay, some options. Likewise, you can also put in graphs, statistical displays. You can create your multiple choice questions in a build right there as well. So it has some really nice features in terms of creating quizzes in forms with all your math expressions and graphs and things like that. So you can kind of build it all right in there. I'll just show you the graph one as well. Very much like what we saw in Google Docs, except that you put the question in, you can put in your functions. All right, just show you as an example. We'll throw a graph in there too. And then it's got the question below, answer for. And we can change that, or we can leave it as text. Okay, so what that looks like when you share it with students. So solve for, answer for, and here's my graph. Okay, solve the graph, solution. Just a quick little example. So that's a quick way to make a quick quiz, as with all Google Forms. So once we've created this math exit slip, it also creates a sheet with responses, just in case you've never used Forms before. So it's got our questions and answers. I did another series where I talked about online assessment. You can use Flubaroo with this form, of course, to have it grade for you. Well, the multiple choice piece, but that's another discussion entirely. One other neat thing with GMath is you can also, I'm just going to go into Google Sheets now. This is a sheet that I created before, and I used the GMath add-on for Sheets to put these expressions in here. And what you can do with that, with these sheets, is with the add-on for GMath for Sheets, you can have it create a quiz. So it says create a form based on these. You would still, we'll go GMath for Sheets, quick quiz creator, create a form. It's going to say which, so select your question range. So we're going to say we want all 3 of these. Let's preview it. Give it a title. And it's going to kind of work backwards. It's going to use this form to create a form with quizzes so we can view it. That's what it would look like. So if you had kind of a bank of expressions in a sheet, you could use that to create quizzes. And one other neat thing I'll go over quickly too is back in that GMath for Sheets, you can use it to create individualized forms as well. So you can kind of personalize for students which expressions or what they're trying to solve for. And you can get it to grade as well. So some pretty neat features there. A couple other things to go over quickly. So that's GMath. I should mention too, I almost forgot. If we're in forms, so we're looking at the form now, if we go to GMath, one last feature is to deploy GMath for responses. So you can say for this form, I want my students to be able to use GMath in their responses. And what that would allow them to do, you say deploy, it would allow them to create a graph using GMath as a solution or an expression, or to use the handwriting feature too. So you might have some different uses for that. So what that looks like then in the live form, You then share this link with them. They would open it up and they pull all of it out of there. So now they just need to authorize it, continue, allow it to work with your account, and now they can create expressions using that same GMath function to answer the questions. And then they can paste them as images, creating a graph as a solution, all sorts of things like that. Okay, so that's how you can allow your students to use the GMath when they're actually filling out a form. A couple other neat tools. Desmos is an online graphing calculator. If you haven't seen that before, it's desmos.com. The neat thing with that, with our CESD 73 Google accounts, is that students can have their account basically linked to this graphing calculator. So you can see I'm logged in right now. I've just logged in with my CESD 73 account. I didn't have to type anything in. I just said connect with my CESD account when I went to log in. So students essentially already have an account with Desmos. They can enter in different expressions to see it graphed. So it's a graphing calculator tool, basically. They can save graphs in their accounts. They can print them, send them, share them, all sorts of things. Now, one thing with that is if you're getting them to submit them to you all the time, you might want to consider how that's going to work just in terms of that, your inbox doesn't fill up with them sharing a whole bunch of graphs with you as submissions for assignments. You might want them to take images and copy them into one document and put them all together so it's more organized. So that's one thing to consider with Desmos. The other tool I wanted to go over is GeoGebra. So both of these tools you can add through the Chrome Web Store. So students can add them to their @CESD73 account, and they'd always have access. They're apps that would always show up if they're on a Chromebook. They can just go to the Chrome icon and find GeoGebra or Desmos. They'll always be attached to their account, just like Google Docs or Google Sheets. When you go to geogebra.org, or if you've added the app and go to that, there's a couple neat functions. One is that you can browse materials. So you can see what other teachers or people have created. If we go browse materials, you can see different things on here and different worksheets that have been created. It's definitely taking its time. There we go. So all sorts of things you can look up. You can see there's 283,000 free interactive materials in here, so you can take a look through quite a bit, wade through the good and the bad, decide what you want to use. Quite a few neat things in here, though. Let's take a look at this one, transformations, rotation. Sometimes it gives some explanation. This one just says exploring rotation. So we can use this slider to change the rotation. I don't see where it's changing though in this one. This might be one of the bad I've chosen. Oh, there we go. So you can see here, as you move it around, there's a 360. You can get them to explore rotation that way. Lots of neat little features like that. So if you just go to geogebra.org and search the different materials, you can also create your own. So if I go back to geogebra.org and say start creating, you can choose from different types of things to create: 3D objects, graphs, all sorts of things. So you can choose your own points, make a line, circle with center point, all sorts of different options that way. And it shows you expressions all over here. So lots of options with GeoGebra. And again, just like with Desmos, you can connect it with your @CESD account. So students don't have to create a new account and log in. They just have to link it to their Gmail account, their CESD73 account. So that's a quick little introduction to a couple tools, Desmos and GeoGebra, which are helpful for math using technology. You can use those on any device. You just have to download apps if you're using iOS or Android phones or tablets. If it's on a Chromebook, you just make sure you add the app from the Chrome store. If you're on a Mac or PC, you just go to the website geogebra.org or desmos.com. And then we started off talking about the use for GMath in forms and docs and sheets. All right, I hope you've enjoyed it tonight, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks.